First things first, Jake. Have you seen The Office?
Yes.
Know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Who's your favorite character in The Office?
Uh, Probably Jim, but I might change my mind with a rewatch.
Are you kidding me? Dwight. Dwight's the best Office character. We
Oh,
all
I
know it.
mean, okay. I mean, it might be Dwight. Jim's kind of a
All right, right.
jerk.
You've seen The Office. That's fine. How about
Yeah.
that Office remake called Parks and Rec?
Oh, dude, I love Parks and Rec.
What was that?
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Parks and Rec.
Easily.
Chris Traeger was the ball. And
Yeah,
Z's.
you're kind of just Traeger. Dude,
All right.
Aziz. Okay.
You've seen The Office. You've seen Parks and Rec. What about Office 2.0?
Is that Severance?
Yeah, dude, that's Severance. This is like
Yeah.
serious Office.
This is
Serious Office game.
directed by Zoolander.
It is. It is directed by Ben Stiller.
Dude, there's some like moments
I
with
wish.
there's some moments with like Ben Stiller where I'm just like, especially first season where they're doing work and they're always taking walk breaks and like they're barely on their computer, and when they're on the computer they just stare, move numbers, and I'm just like, does anyone know how real work like actually works?
Any of the actors actually know what work is like?
But, like Ben
That's a
Stiller's
solid
doing,
point.
because I'm just like, Ben Stiller's doing it. I'm like, Zoolander's doing this, and I'm like, and I know Ben Stiller's not Zoolander, but I'm just like, I just feel like it's a Zoolander approach to like how work is done, especially like office work. Now, I don't have a whole lot of like experience in like an office job setting. I know, Don, that that's kind of like your.
It's kind of got some of it on it. I
I
mean,
know
there's definitely
it's
more work done, but could you imagine filming just the work? Like, wow, who's doing that me? But anyway, Ben Stiller, it's great. We're talking Office 2.0, aka Severance today, with my man Jake Shitbig, something. I forgot what I call him all the
Shitbag?
time. That's what I always call you. It's your
No.
last name. I can't really pronounce it. Sherbing.
Sherbang? Yeah, you
Sherbig.
got it the first time.
Yeah, Jake Shitbag. No,
I've never actually had anyone call me Jake Shitbag before. I haven't, like, I'm surprised because I've heard Shebang, I've heard Seabiscuit, I've never heard Shitbag before.
yeah,
So, I mean, like,
can't pronounce your last name.
way to, like, add to my nickname,
No, hopefully no one
repertoire.
out there in school calls you.
I mean,
It's not.
the moment passed in high school. I'm surprised no one's called me that in high school.
I have so many questions about this.
Okay.
The show. I don't know if you're the same as me and you're so intrigued by the mystery of it all.
It's a show that you think about often. It's one that, like, the way I see it, it's kind of just resemblance of real life in general. Not necessarily like your brain switch off, but you do switch personalities when you're at work. You have
Yeah,
your
you do.
work personality, and then you have like your home personality, and it's like two different things. And I've had like exes who were just like, you're two different people. I see you with your work people and you're like, you're happy, you're happy go lucky. And then you get home and you do nothing. And it's like, well,
Sports.
it's called masking. But like, yeah.
Yeah. Work is exhausting. That's all. You get unversed. Mm-hmm. I have one super important question for you.
All
You
right.
can answer for me. What are the goats for? I haven't seen the last couple episodes of it.
Oh,
The goats. Were you astonished by the goats here?
full spoiler warning. I think we're going full spoilers.
Boy.
Yeah, full spoilers. We're not holding anything back. Season 2, season 1 spoilers. If you haven't watched it yet and you're watching this or listening to it, stop. At least if you
Yeah,
care
definitely.
about spoilers.
I'm going to break into it.
Okay, what are the goats for? I mean, the first part that I think of is the first thing that we're told, the information we're given is they're a sacrifice. What
Yeah.
for? Who fucking knows? But they're a sacrifice. That's the wording they used.
The crazy goat paintings they have around the office. I don't know if you've counted them in the first couple
I
seasons.
have not.
They're like everywhere, and you watch them, and you're like, this is a little creepy. I don't know what to think of the goats.
Are they sacrificing it to a god? Is there like more lore in that way? Or is this like, is there an actual purpose to goats being
Brings you up a-
sacrificed?
Good question. Is Kyr more a god character, or is he more like a devil character? Like, what do you give
Ooh,
Kier, or the main person? Like, what do you
Jesus,
pin him as?
a prophet.
Jesus, you put him Jesus?
Oh, I'm not saying
Yeah,
he's Jesus, but I'm saying like he fits more as like a prophet. That's like how I see like Irving sees him. Like he kind of comes off as a prophet, this like chosen one of God, so to speak.
yeah. He seems very chosen, very high up on himself. He seems very arrogantly weird the way they worship him.
Also, just the
It's kind
weird
of
goat
creepy.
dance after like the waffle party.
The waffle parties. Yeah. Hey, those waffle parties are great, dude.
Dude,
They don't experience anything.
I will say like for an office party, they really know how to throw down. Like Mr. Milchek knows how to fucking throw an office party. It's weird as fuck. But they know how to throw an office. Like they have a whole marching
Does
band
he?
department. He
Oh, at the
does.
end, yeah, that office
Yeah.
party. Like that was
The
a pretty epic
funeral with
office
the
party.
melon, like the fact that he spends hours just carving this melon that looks exactly like Irving for the funeral. I'm like, it's.
Yeah, that's creepy. But
Have you
yeah,
ever had a boss carve your face into a melon?
no, but I have so many questions about Milkshake, which I want to get to.
I do too. He's a theater kid who got really serious in the corporate world.
But I really want to talk about like the first dilemma question.
All right.
Thing aside, he's doing all that stuff. See what they're doing. It could have been a really good achievement, but we know it's kind of just they give you evil music. But in real life,
Okay.
as far as a moral dilemma question,
Yeah.
would severance be a negative thing or a good thing? What would you think?
Negative.
The actual severance. Do you think a negative?
Uh,
People sever their bodies.
I mean, there's just a lot of ethical. It raises a lot of ethical questions. You're literally,
You
imprisoning. You're
Force your
impris-
mind.
You're sacrificing a part of yourself so the other part doesn't have to experience that hell. And you're also allowing yourself to be easily manipulated, easily abused, and it does have effects on your physical body. It may not have effect on your mental, capacity, which I think is why they're experimenting. Like, hey, how much physical torment can we give to a person? And if we sever them, does that transfer over? And I believe that's what they're trying to do with Gemma. And I think that's like their whole experiment, especially with Cold Harbor. Like, hey, here's
How
this.
many times can you sever this person in different personalities?
Yeah.
You create your own being is what it looks like.
And
Create my
so,
person that I want.
which is probably what they're doing with the goats. They're probably experimenting with the goats. If we're the sacrificing part, I think, is more or less maybe like the lore or like the thought process. Maybe they say it to think to put into this religion. I wouldn't be surprised if that whole department is like more or less a religious study on top of a hey, we're going to nurture these goats for experiments, but you know what, let's run our own experiment. You know what this company reminds me of, Lumen? And maybe this is a reference you get, maybe this is a reference you don't get. This company reminds me of Vault-Tec from Fallout.
Yeah, what it does.
Like, just very experimentative. Like, hey, every vault we're going to do some other things to it. Like, it reminds
I'm
me
going
of
to change
Vault-Tec.
this vault and change that one. Yeah, we're all
Like,
going to do different items.
do they do good for the world? Yeah, kind of. But really, they're kind of evil fucking people.
I mean, they've murdered millions of people to get there.
Well,
Yeah.
does Lumen murder people?
I don't know. It's good. I mean,
Were they going
good
to murder
question.
Gemma, or is that like the leading theory? We don't know. We're so in the dark.
Yeah, we don't know how Gemma got down there. Yeah, we have no idea. That's what makes it so intrigued. Yeah, what's going? Yeah, she got down.
We don't even know what's going
Yeah,
on.
but this is.
We have no idea what's going on with the world because it's always like cold and dark and it looks grim.
It's always winter. Yeah, it's always terrible. The
And
world looks awful.
it's also just like I think that's a question that I have is what the fuck is happening in this world where people like actually want to be severed?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing. That's why I like their characters that they chose. Like Mark, it makes a lot of sense to be severed. Like, I didn't know at the time we first start the show. You know, his wife dies in a car accident,
Yep.
so he can't deal with himself. So he's like, I'm gonna be severed. So I am. And that brings my next kind of point. Like, people like you, when you say you go to work, people like you're always so chipper and happy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think your work self would be your better self compared to your original self?
Um.
Not nuts to think about for a
Yeah.
second.
I mean, I thought of it that way
I,
before, just when an ex brought it up, just like dating wise, like, oh, you're so, energetic. And it's like, well, that's my mask, right?
yeah,
That's where like my energy goes for the day. And then I'm just dead tired. And you see like real me, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, especially as an ADHD individual. Like that's more or less what happens. But I just from a mental standpoint, how does an innie do it every single day? Because you don't
we don't
escape.
know anything else. That's the thing, they don't know anything better. That's our life, which goes to a whole nother question I'll get towards the end. Think like Dylan too. He's so much better of a person within like just a few meetings. He got his wife to this moral dilemma to
Is
fall in
he?
love with him because he was just that much of a badass down there compared to what he was on the outside.
It's
Like,
true.
crazy.
But like my question is like I have a question of like how different are the innies and outies? Because to me they're
Yeah,
relatively very close and similar to their own. Like they're not much different, but they're always treated as like, oh, it's a whole different person. But I'm like, Helly and Helen, like Helena, they're both conniving as fuck.
yeah. I still
Mark
think she's
S,
evil.
like both of the Marks are very like I don't know, like calm
Chill and
temperament.
calm, yeah, very relaxed. I mean, they're both very, very similar, but they're both very, you, like, almost enhances each flaws of each side, which I think is kind
Hmm.
of fun. That's why I like
Yeah.
the show. Like, you see the flaws of one side of you, your healthy self, and you see the flaws of the any work self. Like, I think about me when I work. Like, I'm a very red person when I work, very direct, point nose, and then outside out of work, I'm really not that direct. I'm like fluffy and
You are.
so I think
I
like, hey, there's like poor
mhm.
me still, but there's like these flaws at each end of the spectrum that I'm working on. But they're very much still me,
Yeah.
which is which it brings this whole show to my concept. That's why I love it so much. It's this whole concept. It's like it makes too much sense. I don't know
No,
why,
it,
but I fucking love it.
it makes sense because I thought about you and like work, and I'm like, I'm curious how work you is. I know Audi you, I don't know any you, and you don't know any me. I know Audi you, or you know Audi
Yeah,
me.
I don't even know how to you. I don't know
Yeah,
any of you. I've never seen any of you. And then you texted me, would we be friends? Would any of me and me be friends? It's a good
that's
question.
you think
I
you
feel like we would because you'd be fun at work. You probably get your
maybe
job done and stuff like that.
if I'm motivated.
For serious, I always been,
I,
very direct, strong will, usually at work too.
mm,
It's like, I think so. I think maybe.
yeah,
Probably not. How do you else be friends? Would you else be moral?
I don't know. I'm pretty chill when it comes to like work life. I'm usually like easygoing. I'm known as like the calm person at work, which is odd because like I am like usually calm, but like inside my head, I'm usually like freaking out. Probably because like kids are just screaming in my face, and I'm just like, but inside, I'm just like, me and these motherfuckers. Like, I don't know. It's interesting,
Yeah.
but I'm yeah, pretty easygoing, pretty easy. Like, I don't even know how to explain it.
But you would consider them. So, like, innies and outies. So,
Hmm.
at this point, it's been a few years. But is it technically two different people at that point then? What's your thoughts on that?
I just I feel like they're the same person. I just feel like it's just
I still
different
feel like,
aspects of experience.
yeah, so we go back to the end here where Mark's talking to try to get his innie to merge together.
Hmm.
Like, this is a thing that his innie feels like he's going to get shafted because he's only been alive for a few years versus Mark's 20,
Yeah,
30, or whatever it was. Do you
I
think that would shift one side to the other?
I think it's a fair counterpoint. Like, how much of me is left if I don't have a whole lot of me and you have a lot of you? But then again, like if you think of it like if we shift our brains, it's still 80-90% you. But then again, like if you shift into somebody, you are also your Audi.
Yeah, don't you merge it? Don't you see, like,
Hmm.
this is what perplexes me. How do they eyes see? Is it like a completely different vision?
Yeah, it's
Or is it, this sort of like it drives my mind wild just to
it's
think about
almost
the whole
like
overall concept.
it's like a like the DID Moon Knight situation where like a different personality, switches over. Like this, it's more or less that. But it's like they're still the same person at the end of the day. This consciousness is still shared.
Yeah, I mean, the body's shared, everything's shared. You get hit at work in the face and they write a fake note. Like, yeah, you got hurt because the projector fell on your head. Episode 1. All right, I'll take it.
Or like
You know,
just like Kelly, like with the strangulation, and then she goes up, like that trauma does transfer over. It's such a weird show. It's a weird thing that I honestly, it feels real in the near future if they ever develop this technology. I think there's the absolute question of, do you do it, do you not? Is it even an ethical thing to do? I think both answers for me is no. At least for the aspect of like, if you're any only experience work life, like, how are you productive?
yeah. What else are you doing outside of that?
Hmm.
What are you doing community-wise? Anything else or anything? You work for like a corporate collaboration. It's just like, all right.
That's your life
It
now.
does do that very well, though, too. The work conglomeration, like, we're going to have a work party for your success. You know, it's like, yes. Yes, that's exactly. Pizza party, except they call it a waffle party. I'm like, yes.
It's
Yep.
like it's like sad and lame, but I'm also like, it's low key a better work party than a lot of the work parties I've been
Oh,
a
yeah,
part
you know,
of.
yeah, let's be honest, our work parties are terrible.
Yeah,
The idea is that was supposed to be like a terrible party, too, which it kind of was if you think, like, you're looking for a party. It's like, yeah, they're pretty terrible.
it's
Their parties are
it's
just
Zoolander's version of like, oh, bad work party. It's like, well, it's kind of cool in its own aspect. Like, imagine just like, here you go. Here's a year of your work. You get a carved little crystal version of your head. I'd be like, that's kind of lame, but also kind of dope. You could have used that resources on something a lot more meaningful. Maybe give me a good bonus, but at least it's kind of like, rememberable. I feel like most businesses these days are just like, here's this really cheap thing that,
here's a T-shirt for your success that has my company's name on it. Like, fine, thank you.
yeah, you can go to the
That's
company's store and you can buy clothes with the company's name on it. I mean,
Thank you. I appreciate you.
yeah, I
That's
will wear this never outside of work. Damn it, it is innies.
yeah, right.
I do.
Okay, so I want to kind of take this. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go for it. Go for it. All
I
you.
kind of want to take this in somewhat chronological order. Things they understand still, and we just don't know. But in like the chronological action, if it makes sense.
Yeah.
So, like in episode 2, season 1, we met the board.
Yes.
Kind of.
Kind of.
Who is the board? What is the board? What do you think the board is?
I'm assuming it's nothing different than like a board of a regular company. So I'm assuming it's people who are invested. It's people who probably. Here's another theory that I have about the board that's related to the board. I
Yeah.
feel like what they are doing is trying to figure out if they can move consciousness to other bodies. Like, I almost feel like it's a Get Out situation. Maybe I think it's because of Get Out, but I think it's people on the board who are very looking forward for Cold Harbor. It seems like that's the big thing. They're either a bunch of investors that are looking to use this in other companies, or they're a bunch of older folks who are looking to move their consciousness, if that theory holds true.
To just take over someone else's body?
I think that's
Well, that's fucked up. Shit.
maybe it's not with the direction they're
Greatest
going,
scientific achievement.
but like with the little Miss Wong, I'm just like, why else would you have a fucking teenager in this process?
Yeah, it's creepy. Did you see like the story of how they got raised? It's like how Milchek was raised and stuff. They took Milchek and Misko back.
Yeah,
So they got raised into this to become like worshippers of here, basically. That's how they start as a young age. They do this whole process, then they get moved to the next facility.
aren't they
It's creepy.
aren't they just always innies at this point?
Yeah, it seems like they're permanent innies if you ask me.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Almost.
That's the
Apparently they keep their conscience the whole time.
yeah, maybe.
They create like, I think about like Catholicism or like Mormonism when I think about like the fear of people. And they worship this guy that is clearly doing something fucking like,
Yeah.
yeah, we love him. He's the greatest. We will do whatever we need.
It's very
whatever it takes."
cultish.
Yeah, very much so. It feels like a cult. Yeah. I mean, even the second episode, they're talking about the cult. And like, this is a cult. And you need to start the Severance program. I'm like, oh, I don't feel them, man. We're season 2 now. And like, yeah, this is 100% some weird ass cult shit.
I
Cult
don't.
shit that they started at a young age.
I mean,
Like,
with just with all the goat people wearing their shit and they're just acting crazy. I'm just like, how are they not having any type of religious ties? Especially with like the religious like paintings on top of it. It's like they're definitely poking at fun at religion with this.
they're definitely like hardcore, giving the religion a little pokey stick. Like,
I don't know if it.
this is how ridiculous sometimes you sound.
I don't know if they're like specifically going into like Mormonism, but like it does appear that it's very similar.
Yeah, Mormonism or evangelicals,
Yeah, that.
evangelical Christians, they're going poking that bear pretty hard. Or maybe there's some Jewish. I don't know. Major religions like Jewish or stuff like that. So they'd have to tell me if there's the same type of culty religion over there. They're definitely poking fun at that pulpit.
Oh, for sure.
So Natalie, the one that talks to the board,
Yes.
is she actually speaking to someone? Because the board never seems to speak. Do you think it's like Kier's conscience that they're trying to write in and bring Kier down?
Like
Right.
maybe the board is like an AI or a version of
Yeah.
Kier, and she talks. That is interesting.
It's my theory.
Well,
AI Kier.
okay.
They're trying to bring him back after they move his consciousness around. Maybe they can bring that into like somebody like Gemma's to a cold harbor spot. Destroy their body enough to upload a new emotional set.
So our theory wasn't too far off.
That's right.
Okay. I mean, our theories aren't too far off. I like your theory with like AI. It's Kier's like consciousness trying to move it back. That would make sense with the religious themes. With Natalie, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what to think of her. It's a weird dynamic. I don't know if it's a simple like, yeah, she's just like we just like to have this weird connection. She's the only one who can talk with the board. We're gonna have 1 degree of separation here, or if it's just there's something else completely entirely, or maybe she is the board. Maybe it's all 5
But
consciousness
that too, she
into
might be
her
the
body.
She just speaks out. Like, yeah.
What
Who's
if
Natalie? Why is she the only one that gets to talk to the board? Like,
she
you think
is the board?
Ellie would know both the board, or they would have some sort of conscious. But even they talk, you need to speak to the board. That's one of my main questions. I don't know who they are. It's kind of intriguing me. I still want to find out the board. I don't feel like they want
Season
Natalie
3.
in the second half of season 2.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, we saw her in the first few episodes, but then we didn't see her again the rest of season 2.
I don't know if she's like.
Maybe because like
I don't know if she's gonna be that big of a character. Like she's creepy. She's there.
board. Did we lose the board? Like, does the board matter?
Oh, they
Does
matter.
it actually matter? Definitely have to matter.
Yeah.
Villain. Which brings me to my next character, Mr. Milchek.
I love him.
Love Milchek, dude.
He's so
Milchek
great.
is great. Such a good follower, and you can see the slow cracks that he's getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good character development. And I hope he does just fully goes against him.
I just love how
Not Miss
like
Cobell. I still feel like Cobell's evil as fuck.
Yeah.
We'll get to her in a second.
I really enjoy Mr. Milchek. He's probably my favorite character just because he's like the bad guy, but he's like trying to do good in like the worst way. Like he's still like a corporate he's still a corporate lame, but he's like, you know what, we're gonna throw these really extravagant parties. We're gonna have fun with like the corporate money. It's like awesome.
And his
But
gosh dang demeanor smile.
it's like
stupid shit. Yeah. Fuck you, Milchek.
he's just like, you know what, like I like you as much as I like any corporate shell, but I can't go further until you're not a corporate shell.
Yeah, he's definitely like a corporate like leader.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me of those like corporate managers that very much like, you have those people in your workplace that just believe in the company for no shit reason at all.
Yeah.
They give you some racist photo and you're still like, I got this for the company. You're like, yeah, you remind me a lot of managers. You play the manager part well. That's why they gave it to you. Like
I
he, and
I just love the theater kid aspect to him. Just like positive,
yes,
I'm gonna put all my effort into like the theatrics to make sure that they're having a great like time while they're in there. It's like, but that's not the problem, dude. The problem is you're still holding them against their will. Like you're still
yeah.
making them work, and that's
And
their only life. Like you're doing your best, but it's not good enough.
I'm gonna bring you out to this retreat. The first vacation they get is just a frozen tundra wilderness. Enjoy.
It's all for
This is the
you, yay! And then
I
like,
love the lies too. This is the largest waterfall in the world.
or just the lie of like, you guys did well. Your revolution set off everything, and like in real life, like it was
Yeah.
just swept under the rug. But just like, I love the puppeteering. Like they had a whole scale puppeteer like commercial made for them. And I'm like, holy fucking shit. How much effort did you put into just like tricking them?
Create this.
Like who
That's
thought
why I
of
love
that?
seeing the slow break, like towards the end, the devour flatulence quote. Oh man, that was perfect. I
Oh
thought it was
yeah.
gonna break fully down.
Hmm.
Then you see the next couple episodes try to get that 100% still. I'm like, all right, well, check it. I'm freaking
Dude, that fucking
waiting for you to
performance,
just.
that performance review, I think a lot of us can relate to that performance review.
Oh my
When you
gosh,
just
yes.
open it up and you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? Like this is the fucking thing you're complaining about uses too big of words.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I agree 100%. All of us have been in that review process where they give you the most shittiest things so they don't have to like give you a raise or some shit.
Yeah,
Like the corporate bullshit that comes with it. Like, oh, we have too many raises this year, so we had to be a little softer. Like, what the crap,
or
dude?
the no one gets an excellent performance even though we tell you how excellent you are. Or
All the
the
time.
hey, you remember this thing that you struggled on for like the first week you worked there? Yeah, we're gonna put that in your performance review. I've had that happen before. It's like that's
Oh
not an
yeah, they
issue
bring
for
up the
me.
one time you did something,
Oh yeah, that
even though you
too.
did 90 million other great things.
You remember when we
Well,
broke you down
you,
for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then you finally yelled back and like in anger over a new policy change, over the 14th policy
yep,
change, and then you yelled out against us? Yeah, we're holding that against you.
yeah, we're putting that in your performance review.
It's like, all right,
Speaking
well,
of that, I just got a write up at work 200. So
for
it was
real.
like, I'm your lead revenue person. Like,
Oh,
they were complaining that, so anyways, long story short, somebody canceled a meeting.
mm,
Policy says we should go. Like, no, it's if they just we keep on like, doing that. They schedule. Like, I get that. But like this one was a legitimate cancel. I canceled the meeting because they weren't ready for it.
yep.
And they're like, you gotta go. And I told them no. And they got literally like,
Jeez.
so yeah, they had a whole write up call and big general. So we same thing.
How
Milk
dare you?
checks review
How
reminded me.
dare you be ethical, man?
Yeah,
How
exactly.
dare
How
you be?
dare you be forgiving and forgetting?
I've been there.
Crazy. This is all about revenue.
I've been there in the billable hours. The whole like, hey, the top boss is like, you got to do more billable stuff, and then I have like my supervisor or like my person that I work with. They're like, ethically, you can't bill for this, this, and this, and this, so you only have this hours. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting yelled at from two different people. I can't ethically bill here, but I'm getting
Yeah.
yelled at bill these things. It's like, God help me. All right,
Yeah. You ever have? What do you want?
worked there for
Like even
like
Milkcheck was
two
like that
months
too in
in.
his review.
Yeah, it's like, what do you want from
Yeah.
me? Don't use big words. It's like, no, they just want to shit on you. At the end of the day, they
Wanted,
just
yeah, wanted you to make me feel less than them. That's all it is. It's like, come on. Milkcheck, I hope you break and I hope you come to the hero. I want Milkcheck to be a hero.
I do too. I do really enjoy Milchek. All right, Cobell's next.
Oh, bad. Yeah.
Okay.
She's a villain. God damn, she's the creepiest woman I've ever seen on the screen. Just the way
I
her eyes look the whole time. I'm like, yeah, she's fucking creepy.
who's like more crazier? Because I have a couple segments that I want to put in there, but I have like one where like I have a problem, and my two biggest problems is one, Cobell having a neighborly relationship with Mark, while also being his boss. Like, to me, that's kind of fucked up. Like, you have this
Oh
really
yeah,
close, intimate, neighborly relationship with Mark, the Audi Mark. But on the inside, and you're still the same exact person. On the inside, you're his boss, who's more or less torturing and tormenting him.
yep.
And then
You're cool with that.
and my next one, which is Helen G, sneaking down in season 2, and then having sex with Mark as Helen
Yeah,
G.
yeah. E.
Helen E, sorry.
Yeah. But having sex with Mark, that's like, first
It's
off, that's rape, dude.
it is.
100%.
Well,
I was like, holy crap.
it is in a sense.
In a way.
It gets really weird
I mean,
ethically.
I apologize too. I don't know anything before what it's like, but like that's anyway. It shouldn't happen. It was beyond. I was like, I'm not okay with this. This is weird.
It, it's like just like what the fuck is wrong with her? Because we don't see Helen E from like for most of like the rest of the season after that. It's just like
You,
your plan was to go sneak in, and then you have this trip, and Milchek knows what you're doing and knows that you have sex with her, and like it's allowed and it's okay, it's approved. Like net no
yeah.
at one point, it's just at one point you're like between Milchek and Helen E. It's like maybe that we shouldn't have sex with an unknowing person. Like, is this
Yeah, that
not?
doesn't know if this is you or her. I mean, technically you're the same person, but at the same time, yeah, it's
It's
a
ethically,
little messed up.
it's sexual assault at the very least, but also just like it's a boss having sex with their employee too.
Yeah, there's that too
At
as well. Yeah.
at that point, is it not that relationship? So I don't know. I'm like, what's weirder, Helen E having sex with Mark, or Cobell having this neighborly close relationship with Mark while being the
So I
boss?
think they're both villains, dude.
They
They're
are.
both evil. They're both like. Although Helen kind of showed like Helen E showed like some sort of loving compassion, like she hates the family she actually lives in. She
Yeah.
also said after the sex, so she has like a long lust for love. What
She's
doesn't
a
mean she's
she's
still
a
fucked up.
victim.
Still,
She's a victim in her own right.
yeah, she is a victim that way, but still madly effed up. Don't do that. And you have Miss Cobell too. Both situations, like even Miss Cobell taking care of Dad's baby, like
Yeah, it's
on a scale from high to even, just can't. I was like,
or
no,
or
I would
Helena
never trust that lady.
or Helena being just like, you're not a real person. You don't get to quit. And just like, you're telling that to your fucking
that video?
self. Like that you're telling the other version of you, you're not a real person. Fucking deal with it. I will say, like, Helena
Yep.
is just like, all right, I'm not a real person. Well, then I'm not murdering myself. With the hanging. That's such a
Same
ball.
thing, yeah.
That's such a ballsy move.
Helen
Ballsy.
E and Helen R have some ballsy. By the way, that actress did a really good job.
Yeah, she's great.
I'm just saying, yeah. She was above a certain name.
I forget.
And she bigger than she but middle of that. Yeah, come on. Sit on it. I mean, she didn't seem very, I thought it was like Britain Lowry or something like that.
I don't recognize her.
I've seen her in anything. I think she's in a couple other things, but I haven't never seen.
I mean, she looks like I feel like I've seen her in
Britt
other things.
Lower.
Okay.
Britt Lower, yeah. She did such a good job. That's her.
Yeah.
She did. She did pretty good from both sides of the character.
That-
Her, Cobell, evil as can be.
I would say,
Cobell, Devin trusting Cobell blows my mind. I'm like, what?
yeah.
You trust her over the lady that's trying to merge Mark together so they can save Gemma. You trusted the lady that was stalking your brother. You trusted
Yeah.
the lady that basically had an inappropriate relationship.
What do you think of the lakeside cabin with the severance of the pregnant ladies?
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that's
you-
also weird.
Like
That's
you,
messed up.
right?
Oh, you get to get severed so you don't remember the experience of giving childbirth? Isn't that like the experience you should have? Maybe? I don't know.
I
Unless
mean,
you can forego it.
it's a very traumatic experience for the woman, or it can be very traumatic.
Yeah,
So I
can
guess
be.
in that sense, like I guess you don't want to experience that trauma, but like I know other women it was like, no, no, no. It was like it was such a like horrible experience, but the payoff was worth it.
You gotta think about like life experience in general. Like, like that's a major life experience to experience.
Hmm.
Now, I do agree if you're gonna have struggles and stuff, and it makes sense. I still find that very weird to break his cabbage where you basically are severed for the pregnancy.
Ooh, I'm curious if Sapphire would make that, or would make that, if she would take that.
She'd be a
I,
good person. I mean, we're not the right gender, I think, to ask that
this is fair. This
question.
is fair. Not the right
Yes, I don't answer that either.
not the right biological sense. I don't know. I think it really depends on like your experience. It depends, but it is in a sense fucked up. I do have another question too. Like, if you are constantly severing your bad experiences, does that not in a way make your Audi a really shit person? Because
Think so?
you're robbing those experiences that like shapes you as a human.
Yeah, what do you learn actually? Like, do you actually get to learn if you don't know your experiences?
Or do you learn if you don't go to work? Like Dylan, I think what Dylan, like outside him
Yeah,
is he's a piece of shit. Like the dude just doesn't do anything. He's very entitled, and
doesn't talk to his, take care of his kids. Remember they can pick up his kid.
like then he goes and he's this whole different person, this whole very badass of a person. But it's like he doesn't have that memories. He doesn't grow up with that. So he literally goes there, his lazy self, he just has to groom himself and then boom, you check out, you check back in and you are tired and you check out for the rest. Like I think of that existence, I'm like, dude, the dude's just checked out.
Speaking of that, was my next character I was going to ask you about. But Dylan G, his whole arc he's got going on between his wife, his family, his kids. With Dylan, first off, do you feel like it was cheating for his wife to do that?
No.
I
I
didn't
think
think it was. I was like,
it's the same
I think
person.
that's the version that she fell in love with was that Dylan before Dylan
Yeah.
became a piece of shit because he didn't have the experience.
I
That's
mean
right.
if my wife was gonna cheat on me, right? And
With
it
you?
was like if she's gonna cheat on me with another version of me, which is and it's still my physical body, my first thought I feel like would be one, there would be a sense of betrayal, but also it'd be like if she's gonna sleep with someone else, wouldn't it be the best choice to be the other version of me? Because isn't
Yeah,
it not
right.
just me?
Which makes me think about Dylan. Like, was Dylan better? Like you said, is he entitled now that he's severed? He doesn't have to deal with the work stuff and deal with
Yeah.
getting that job. And now he's becoming more of a shit human. I mean, he even talks about that at the end. And he writes that letter back to Dylan himself. Like, you're a much better person than
Yeah.
so you're going to stay in there. Basically.
You need to exist because I get money for you being a good person. It's yeah, you're severing the good version of yourself, or maybe not the good version, but you're severing the hard worker person. You're severing that person from yourself, and it's such a. I also really like the name Severance because it works as like you're severing yourself, but also like work severance
Yeah, severance
fits.
pay.
Yeah,
Severance package. Yeah,
yeah.
that's very well.
All right, you got more?
I was going to say, for Dylan's character, I think as far as characters go that get rewritten, I would almost rather see just completely horrible. You see Dylan's inning become Dylan's Audi, but then again, Dylan's inning's also kind of a piece of shit. He gives up so easily.
True,
One bad
true.
thing happens, he's like, I'm not.
I'm
But then
done.
he did convince. So,
Well, that's why
let's
like
talk about.
if you like reintegrate, do you get the best versions of yourself or the worst versions? Or is it a mixture of both? Like, are you just not a whole person if you reintegrate at this point?
People besides the person.
Which is why, well, like, I'm thinking like for Mark, I'm just like the whole. If you reintegrate, are you just not the same whole person as you were prior to Severance? You have those shit memories.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, a couple other characters. We'll finish the last couple. What's Mark's story in all this? Especially at the end here. We're just going to talk straight to the end. Talk details about the show. I think people should watch it. Where do you think Mark is headed?
I mean, Mark's whole purpose was to work on Gemma and essentially create those separate consciousness for Gemma. His mission is complete. What purpose does he have? That's my question. For the whole choosing Helena over Gemma, I think it makes sense for his Innie's character. Like, he's choosing
Yep.
love. What does that mean for those two? They have to somehow find a way to escape within that world, or find a way to escape and still
Yeah,
maintain
exactly.
control.
How does that work? The second,
I don't.
like, how
You.
do they stay in that world? You're in a box. Like, they're literally in a box.
This is what I think is going to happen. I think they're going to actually try to kidnap Helen and force her to reintegrate.
Makes sense.
I feel like that's what they're going to try to do. I don't know what else you do.
Yeah, what else? Yeah, I have no idea what else you do. They can't live in the little. It's basically living in a 100,000 square foot Walmart for the rest of your life.
Basically,
Otherwise, the second you leave, that's it. Why would they bring you back?
but like you have other
done.
departments that murdered each other. Like that's in the history of Lumen. So it's not
Yeah.
like necessarily a safe place, and you have to like. So I don't know. It's like a weird like you have to be in those places where like that switch is on, or you have to figure out a way to permanently switch your innie to your outie, which I think could happen. That could be another season 3 thing that happens is they find a way to switch their innies with their outies, and then Gemma tries to convince Mark to be with her while he's like, no, I'm going to be with Helly, but like they're trying to switch him back. I feel like that's the only really season 3 thing you could do, but I guess I could be wrong. I don't know.
That's one thing. That's what I was going to ask about Gemma's story, too. It's gonna be Gemma. So then Gemma has to be like convincing Mark to come.
What does Gemma do? Yeah, convincing Mark to go
What does
back.
Gemma do?
But like, can she be public? Hey, I'm not dead
I
anymore.
have no idea what Gemma does. Does Gemma just hide in the. What does Gemma do? The Devon? And Miss Cobell? That sounds creepy.
Yeah,
So disappointed Devon trusted Cobell in this whole thing.
that
Fine.
too. Can Cobell be trusted? I feel like I'm waiting for her to betray, or this being another version of experimentation. Like, is there no like another level?
Gotta be some sort of something. Gotta be some sort of split separation or something.
You'd think. All right,
Was a
you got any more?
final question. Then we're going to go to the show, I guess, since I'm like my feelings about it. Well, Lumen is a company. What do you feel?
I mean, more or less, they're kind of like the corporations that I'm used to, but more unethical and able to get through, or they're able to do the unethical shit because of Severance. They're able to
Yeah,
be
exactly.
abusive, but they're like, hey, look, we throw all these elaborate parties, and it's like, well, that's not the version that's abusive. It's the fact that they literally do not leave.
I think it's a good play on corporate. Like it's
Yeah.
exaggeration. Basically, what they do.
Hmm.
Like
Hey,
that's exactly it.
your work life is your work
Their
life.
people. Yep, they extort all their people, all their labor forces, basically, until they're no longer used or needed, and they cut them out. Oh, shoot, there was one more question, but anyway,
Shoot it, shoot it, shoot it.
Last person, Irv.
Ooh, yes, Irv.
So we didn't see him in the last episode, which is weird. We saw him like the second to last episode drifting away on the train. We didn't get to see him in the last episode. Is he just done in freedom,
Ooh, I think he comes
or
back.
is he coming back?
I think-
he has to mean something, right?
I think
There's
he
no
co-
way he has all this information.
I think he comes back, but the idea that like Bert is like this enforcer type that's like was supposed to kill him is incredibly like, wait, wait, what? You know, it's kind of like that their whole storyline where Bert like finds him. It's like, well, we were in love, so you must mean something. So I'm gonna let you go, but I was supposed to kill you. So
Yeah.
I think Irv comes back, but I think he's a side character from here on out.
You think his story's kind of closed? I just feel like we knew too much. Like how did he know all that stuff and know the research for Lumen and give him the Severance?
Mm-hmm.
He's got to know something else behind the scenes. What I think he's funny.
He probably worked with PD, honestly. That's my thought. Yeah.
Because he didn't talk about who was the father.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, yeah, down to PD, and then you're my son. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
It's like the first quote.
All right.
The people I brought in here on purpose.
Okay. I have some questions I want to throw at too.
Let's do it.
All right. Do you think any sex is a thing? Like, is that a problem?
Any sex a problem?
Like, because
it happens all the time at the office. What are you talking about?
But I mean, like,
some people meet their wives.
What happens if you get like impregnated from like an innie?
Yeah, that's weird. That would be really.
Also,
is the baby severed too?
Yeah.
Or is the baby normal the whole time?
But like, if you're pregnant and you go into the severance floor, like, what happens then? I assume nothing happens to the baby, but like, there is that like, what happens if like in the work life reflects to the out life? Like, if someone gets impregnated, what the fuck ethical like dilemma is that? That's one of the questions that I have.
Does the baby never come back into your work? Do you just have the baby outside? Yeah, it's a good ethical one too. It's a great question. I was wondering that same thing. I think the father was pregnant too.
Ooh.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. All right. Last question. I did have more, but I kind of asked them already. What else are they severing? And I don't mean just Lumen. I mean like in general. Are they severancing soldiers? Because like that's like the main thing that I'm like, I could see them doing that for. Severancing soldiers so there's no trauma, no memory.
We know there's pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it all matters to like the frolic, malice. All of those, the 5 categories were. I think they're severing all of those bad things. They're severing all those out of people's lives.
Yeah.
Dentist. Giant villain is what it looks like, yeah.
Doctor, surgery.
Doctors, surgeons, yeah, everything that.
Drowning.
Each room. They basically severed every single thing to trauma. Which is why some people like Lumen's actually probably a good company trying to get rid of trauma. Like, Lumen's not good. There's no way.
You need some type of trauma for survival skills.
Yeah. Can't take. Yeah, it's a tough one, but I think they're severing a lot of those things out. You gotta think if they're doing it pregnancy, my question is, what else would they do?
Dude, soldiers, man. That's like the scariest thing. Like Winter Soldier-esque. Like, hey, we're gonna wipe your memory. You're just a fucking killing machine. Boom, you're a normal person again. Sleeper soldiers.
Well, they would know if there were no. They only know war.
Last question, or not last question, but possible last question. Severance, the emergency, like, what is it? The overtime program, the overtime protocol.
The overtime contingency.
How fucking unethical is that? Because like you can do that remotely anywhere, and you could you could remotely do that anywhere with the idea of like, what if you just did your Winter Soldier version of that person? They could be literal sleeper agents. Everyone could be a sleeper agent. Just
the
boom,
fact
severance.
That Lumen has the power to just control your conscience like a flick of a switch lets me know that they're evil as hell. Because that's some evil.
Well, at least they need 2 people. They need 2 people to agree to do it. So at least there's that ethical contingency, unless you have long arms like Dylan. But I'm like, okay, there's like at least that ethical safeguard. Like, okay, you need 2 people to like overdo it, but it's like also they theoretically could do it in a flip of a switch. And I'm just like, that's so fucked up.
Yeah, well, like, what was your inside personality when they flipped that switch? Like, you could murder your whole family. Like, they turn the switch on, you were a soldier like you're talking about. And you know nothing but war. That's your life. Like, that's all you do. And you get the flip switched and then you kill everybody around you because you think you're in war.
You could literally like
probably at some sort of party or something like that. I mean,
you could literally send someone to a different like country or a different part and literally flip them to a sleeper agent, and they are a second like personality that's just.
But yeah, let's talk what you ranked the show because I'm curious.
Rating. Put it. All right. I did write an actual review. I gave it a 5-. I think it's visually stunning. I think the It's great. Mysteries are fun. They unfold to more mysteries. It makes me ask more about it, but like they do give out a lot of information, especially season two. The premise is deep with secrets, lore, mysteries, and just overall intrigued. It's really its only con is like I feel like the story depends on the finish, and we don't have a finish yet. We don't have a moment that's just like, damn, season two finale very close. And honestly, you could maybe convince me that it's a five solid, but right now I'm like I'm at a five minus. I'm like that's the floor. The ceiling's probably a five. But I'm like, it's an elite show. I'm happy you recommended it to me. The timing's awful. Um,
Yeah, right.
so I'm just like, all right, because like when you like recommended it, I'm like, all right, Invincible, Captain America, Daredevil, Last of Us Part Two, Andor, and then all the movies that come out in the summer, and you're like Severance, and I'm like, okay, but I have all these Severance, and I'm like, okay, let's look it up, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's pretty well reviewed.
It's got like a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
I put in the
98% season one.
I put in the first episode. I'm just like, okay, okay. Oh, and then I finally watched it. I got ended up getting what was it? Had to miss a couple days, and then I'm just freaking watched
Binge the
all.
whole thing.
I binged like all of it,
Thursday.
and it got to a point where I'm just like, all I want to do is watch Severance. I told the wife just like all I want to do is just watch Severance because I'm very intrigued with the mystery of the show, and I need to watch
Yeah, that
more.
was my shit. I just started watching it one day. Severance. I thought it was gonna be like a work thing, right? Like Severance was
Mm-hmm.
a work thing. I don't like turn like Severance. Like a work, right? It just makes sense. It's a Severance package. That's what I'm thinking to call in. When I see it, I'm like,
Oh, it's
"See
so
what you're trying to do,
much,
right?"
so much more.
I
Oh,
like it.
but
I
yeah,
like it. And watch the whole goddamn season.
I
Yeah.
so I'm guessing this is a five for you.
No, I still have it at five minus because I'm at the same worry this year. Because I think they have such a great story and they keep on adding like more and more mystery.
Mm-hmm.
I just have one fear is wrapping it all.
This is what it reminds me of. This is the show it reminds me of, for good or for worse. I will say it at least made it to two seasons before it falling apart. This show reminds me of Westworld.
Yes.
So much. There's like there's a lot of intrigue, a lot of mystery. It's a giant mystery box. But I think Westworld does it. I would say season one's probably better than season one or two of Severance. But season two of Severance is so much better than season two of Westworld. I
Yeah.
think Westworld failed to continue the narrative forward, whereas Severance, it wasn't like a mystery box where it's like, aha, season one, that's it. It's like, no, there's a continuation of season two. I don't know what they're going to do with season three, but I know it's going to be more of a continuation that doesn't completely alter the story.
Yeah.
I don't know what
That's a
I don't know how they do that without completely altering the story, but that's what season two did. It kept a similar vibe without completely changing like the difference of the story. It's about the
yeah, the whole
Indy and
thing
Audi
ran like
world.
the universe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reality world, but then changing the name entirely. Do you think three seasons, just like Ted Lasso, they better not be making a season four?
We'll see.
I think three seasons is where they should fold it out and have a nice, pretty bow. Maybe four at most.
I would say four. I don't know how they wrap it up, but I also don't know what else there is. Because like, what
Yeah.
is the final story? Is it the love story between Helene, Mark, and Gemma? Like, is that the story, or is it Lumen as a whole? So I don't know where they go with this. I'm curious though.
3, 4 seasons is about where I'd put it. Hope so. But yeah, I definitely have it a five minus. I'd give it a five. I just only hesitate on the full five. I mean, it is a five right now if they end it well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, worst case scenario, I think for me right now, at least for season one and two, if it doesn't, I'll give season one and two a 4+ if the ending of the whole show is trash.
I still give it a five minus for like the first two seasons. And honestly, I think worst case scenario for Severance is it becomes Westworld, where I'm
Yeah.
so disinterested because the story's so different that I don't finish it. I never finished Westworld. I'm not that interested after season three. Season 3 is fine. It's
Yeah,
just
this is my idea with Westworld. I watched the first 2 seasons, got to season 3, and it's like,
it's a different show. It's a
it's completely
completely
different.
it's completely different, and I'm like, it's fine. It's just not what I wanted. Westworld is a completely full of mystery. Season 1 was. Season 2 was like that, but less so. And then season 3 was like a completely different like action thriller, and I'm like, it's fine. I guess narratively, as sort of story goes, it's like Hunger Games from Hunger Games 1 and 2 to 3 and 4, or part 1, part 2 of I forget Mockingjay. I forget what.
Yeah. Movie that they shouldn't have split, but they split anyway. Like, yeah, let's split this one.
Yeah, it's
Make more
like
money.
that movie narratively. That's where the story needed to go, but it's so different than the first one. Whereas
Yeah.
Severance season 2, I think, just did such a great job of keeping the same vibe, but also just completely switching the direction. And it felt more of a continuation than like, hey, we're gonna throw in a completely new story that kind of loosely feels the same.
And it'll be 2 years from now, we'll get season 3.
Oh, it's so long. All right, let's keep it in tradition. Most valuable character,
VP,
MVC.
character, NBC. Couple come to mind. Mr. Milchek, I think, is up there as like number 1, number 2.
I really wanted to put him first, but I have him in a different category.
Dude, it's a different category. No,
I have two categories for this.
I said Mark.
I have Helly.
It's kind of the characters. Yeah, Mark. I think just Helly, we're missing Helly E. But I have like number. I have Helly 3. Mark 1, Milchek 2, Helly 3. I just feel like we're missing some Egan story, which maybe that's what we're going to expand.
Yeah, I think Helly's MVC for season 1 by far. Mark is probably MVC for season 2. Together as a whole, I think Mark leads the charge as the protagonist, so in that sense, he's MVC. But I'm really curious in Helly's story. I think that it's like she's like the weird wrench that like throws the story, because if like Helly wasn't there, Mark just runs out with Gemma, right?
Yeah,
But like
100% Mark.
because she's there, because of their relationship, Mark stays back. And to me, I'm like, she's such an intriguing character for the fact that like she is both the boss and the employee
At the same time.
at the same time. And like that dilemma is just, but I will say Helly from season 1 is a lot better than Helly from season 2. The same character, but like just the importance. So
Yeah, I'd say Helly season 1. It's been a while since I watched season 1. Helly season 1.
But Mark, I will say, he's probably MVC if we think about that, Carrie. MVV, most valuable villain.
You think Milchek's a villain? I mean, kind of.
He is the villain.
Oh, goodness.
He
Man,
is and
there's
he
too-
isn't. He's the villain we cheer for, but that's why I love him so much, because like he is technically in all purposes the antagonist. He
is a villain.
he is the antagonist that maybe switches over.
He's going to be the antagonist that switches over. But I will say, yes, Milchek would be the most valuable. Sure. His arc, I was going to say, if you want like other good, strong candidates, for some reason, I still feel like just the way Miss Cobell looks,
Yeah.
it just looks evil as evil.
She's
I don't know if it's
3.
just her face.
She's 3 for me.
Good Lord, just looking at her, the
Hell,
way she just is. Trisha, just creepy. Creepy.
she pulls it off
Those
well.
are creepy.
Helena is my number 2.
I just don't see her as a villain. I see her when she looked at me. She wanted the long lost love. I would say you can give it to Egan, the old guy, but he's old and brittle.
The reason why I give it to Helena,
Forward,
because she is straight up the villain from season 1. She's the one who's like, you're not a human.
yeah,
And
season
then
1, she
her
definitely-
completely like coming back and like killing the trust of Helly. Like I'm like, that's villain shit. That's devious shit that we've seen from Helly from like the first season. I'm like that devilish, that cunning, conniving personality you see it both ways. You see it from the innie version working with the innies, and then you see it in the opposite, working against them. I think it's just a really cool dynamic that I'm like, she's a cool villain. She is essentially the same, like, she's a villain and a good guy at the same time. It just depends on what version of her is present, and you don't know because they're very similar.
Yeah, I got too many questions about Ellie before I can make it. Like you said, Milchek. Milchek's not really a villain, but he's a villain.
Mr. Drummond's
Ellie, I
four
can
for
still
me.
see Mr. Drummond.
He's a
He's a, he's a good villain. He's absolute. No, he's a villain.
he's a villain, yeah.
But just in his story, he seems like a pawn in the screen. Like,
Yeah,
sure, it's
yeah.
just a brute force, but still, yeah, he's a villain.
All right, I have two more. Best Audi, best any.
Best Audi.
Yep.
Irv?
Oh, I'll do one better for you. Bert.
Bert? Do that. Well, you're arguing with Bert.
He
Yeah,
was
makes sense, too.
trying to. He does kill people, so he might put him down. But it just the fact that he let Irving go, I'm like, that's a good Audi. Like you recognized your innie's love, and you accepted
Mhm.
it, you embraced it, and then you did right by Irving. To me, I'm like, you win. Best Audi. Devin's second.
Best Audi.
Devin's second. I
Oh,
don't
no.
know.
Devin, I can't give her credit. She's like, Miss Bell.
That's fair.
I would never. What are you thinking?
Best
What? That's the lady you're going to trust. Like, no, 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 no.
best, all right, best innie. Best innie.
Best in it.
I have it down to two people.
I like Dylan.
I think you'd go Dylan. I went Helly. I'm a huge fan of Helly. But Dylan also deserves the consideration for number one. But he did run out like a little bitch.
Yeah, that's his one. Yeah. He didn't get his love of his wife. His only love he's ever seen before in his life. Think about it. Think about your first love. And the first time
Yeah.
you got your heart broken. Like,
Yeah.
the feelings that Katie Dylan, who's only been alive for a couple years, gets a first actual heartbreak.
This is fair. This is fair.
I feel you. You
So-
want to do. I get it.
Okay.
But I can get Howie too on the best day.
I can get like with Dylan too, but I'm like, Helly's I just love the badass. Like immediately was just like, fuck you, I'm gonna fight my way out of here, and like I'm gonna do
Fuck this place.
I'm gonna do everything to like say fuck the corporation. And
And
there's
a suicide attempt. Yep.
there's a part of me that's just like, you know what, you're my spirit, innie.
Yes. Fuck
Like
this.
fuck
I'm
the
not doing
man.
this shit.
You're the man, but fuck the man. Like that's literally her. She's the
Why did they
man
put
who
Helly-
fucks the man. That too. I don't get that.
Why did they put Helly down there in the first place? I guess this question is between her and like,
To
Why put an
paint
Egan
a
down?
story, to tell the story of that's what it showed in the season one
Enemies?
finale. Yeah, the show like
was
this.
that it?
I don't.
Show the
Probably
story.
not.
Yeah, it's okay. But there's got to be a reason they put it down. More than just
To build the
Still-
consciousness of her father.
yeah. It sounds like.
So that he can be a part of the board. I don't know. That's maybe. I don't. Such a good show. Thank you for having me watch it. It was great. I enjoyed binge watching it. I enjoyed adding it to my very busy schedule because it was a worthy watch. I don't watch a lot of shows that I'm like, that's a 5. 5 minus, but it's a 5. I don't get that.
Yeah. Pretty good show.
I think it's visually stunning. It's just Ben Stiller directing is actually surprisingly really, really good. I like when I'm just like, that's Zoolander. I tell Sapphire, I'm like, that's Zoolander. Like that's who's directing.
Like you have Ben Stiller 100%. He can't be anything else. Ever seen The Secret Life of Walter Mitty? He was so good.
Meet the Fockers? No, just Zoolander.
Meet the Fockers. Zoolander. I got Zoolander. I was shocked when I found Ben Stiller directed it because some of those camera angles and scenes.
Dude, it's so
that.
good.
That
Like
was so good.
it's visually pleasing. The choreography's great. It's like funny in the stupidest ways. Like it's a comedic show in like a very dry sense. Like, why are you that age? Because of when I was born.
Yeah, you're like, damn
You're
it.
like,
Yeah, shit.
okay, that's like low key. Like Mr. Melchick just
Milchick's dances too at the end. You're like, I just. If I was never over, like, oh god, please stop.
like it's
Let
just
the
a
band play.
it's a very comedic show. So like thank you for having me watch it. It's great. I am excited for season 3 when it comes in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whenever they come out.
Be crying.
So, but I also would say they could end the show here, and I don't think it's a terrible ending.
No, I don't think it is either.
Like they definitely have more, and I don't want it to end, but I'm like they could end it here, and it ends in that whole like, does Mark find love with Helen, or does like what happened? Like there's that sense of like he chose
Yep.
love, and I'm like, you could end there. Please don't, but you could.
Yeah, please go. Please decide how it can still be a villain.
Ooh, I have a question for you. Okay, last question, and then we'll call it. Would you rather? Would you rather have the show end at season 2, right where that like no other thing comes out, it ends right where it left it, or would you rather have a season 3 like Westworld, where it just kills all interest in the show, Game of Thrones style?
Game of Thrones style, indeed. Oh, sons of bitches. Don't bring that up. That's why I worry about every ending now, because of that show. I'm so traumatized. I think I'd rather have it end at season 2 than
Yeah,
say Westworld or Game of Thrones this.
I there's always that hope of like maybe they come back. Maybe they do season 3. Maybe they animate season 3. But if they like Game of Thrones it and it's a really shitty finale, it's like it was a good show.
They did.
It
Anybody.
was
Everyone, that should be like on the historical things, the most ruined shows of all time.
so sad. So sad. Game of
It'd be okay.
Thrones.
Just remake it. Just redo it. Just redo it. Season 8 never happened. There's nothing.
Can we just get an animated version of Game of Thrones from that point and onward? I mean, I guess just do the whole show animated, but I think that's the only way we're going to get a really good, accurate story of Game of Thrones with a really good ending is it being animated. That being said, we're never getting Winds of Winter and we're never getting Dream of Spring. Like that's just not happening.
Nah.
George R. Martin is like me in comic books. He just hit a point where he's like, I can't do it anymore. I mentally just cannot go further. It's just I'm done with, I'm like at chapter 8. We're not moving forward.
Yep. This is where the story's over.
This is like is someone is like one of the only few people who read my comic book. You're the only one who gets that reference.
Yep. He just stopped one day. That's pretty much what happened.
I didn't know how to write a big plot point, and I just never figured it out. And it's still there waiting.
Hero. He's just out there. Underneath there.
Yeah, he's in a good spot.
She's there somewhere. The old cop lady's just out there being shit out of one.
Hey, you remember the story?
Yeah, no, the story is pretty good. That's what
That's fair. I'll look.
that's the story. All right.
I still have all the outlines. Who knows? I'll look at it and be like, aha, I'm going to finish the story.
I started the book and I did 2 chapters. So I'm gonna write a 13-page chapter book.
And then
2
you,
chapters in.
you George R. Martin it.
You know, I did the same shit. I was like, I could write this whole thing. I really just want people to read it. You know?
Just right, baby. Just right. That's all they say. George R. R. Martin, just fucking right. That's it. All right. We're gonna call it here. Thank you, Donald. Thank you for leading and hosting.
Yeah. Thanks for staying late.
Yep.
You're the best.